Good evening and welcome to another episode of What's Your Story? Tonight we are sitting down with one of our library volunteers and very good young friend, Caroline Lovejoy. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me. It's really nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, we're going to ask you, what grade are you in?
I am in 8th grade at Kennebunk Middle School.
Wait a minute. How did that happen? You were just 5 last week. So you're in the 8th grade?
Yeah.
My goodness. How do you like middle school?
It's fun. I love my teachers. Middle school is definitely not the best grade out there, but it is fun. The teachers are lovely.
Yeah.
It's a great school to be at.
Yeah. So what's like your favorite subject?
My favorite subjects are history and LA.
Okay.
And I have Mr. Mosman for LA this year. He's really nice.
Yeah.
We're reading The Outsiders currently.
Oh, wow.
We're more than halfway through that. I've been chatting with my mom about it a bunch because she loved it when she was in school.
So did I. That's a great... Mike Kelly, have you ever read The Outsiders? No, I haven't. Oh, we're going to have to get you to read that one.
It's really good. It was really cool that it was written by someone who's only a little bit older than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in itself is inspiring.
Really is, especially with dealing with the subject matter, which is still current today.
Yes, right? It is. It's really interesting to see the different social classes of socialists and greasers. And it's really interesting. My mom actually met the guy who made the movie. Who's also wrote The Godfather.
Oh, well, okay.
We have a chair, which he signed in our attic.
Oh, my goodness. So we were talking right before we started filming, and you mentioned something about being on camera once before. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, when I was 7, I broke my arm, and I stayed over Halloween actually at the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital.
Mm-hmm. That's up in Portland?
Yeah, okay. They were lovely. And for about a year afterwards, I was like one of their child ambassadors, and I went to fundraisers, one of which was a pizza place here in Dock Square in the port.
Yeah.
And we actually had a guy who was at one of the fundraisers here this summer.
Oh, wow.
I forget what his name is, unfortunately, but the magician who came this summer, he was at that fundraiser.
Oh, Peter WYS.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Him.
Yeah.
And the thing that happened was I was on TV for just a quick cut, which was really fun as like a 7-year-old. It was very exciting
Yeah. So as an ambassador, what did you get to talk to people about when you went through?
Bit. I said how it was lovely. There was, I'm not sure if it's still there, an organization that made quilts. Mm-hmm. And I laid them on the hospital bed, and I still have that quilt.
Oh, wow.
And it's really nice.
Yeah, that's something you can cherish forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So now you have a little brother.
I do.
Yeah. How old is he?
He is 9. He will be turning 10 in November, though.
Oh, my gosh.
It's so crazy. He is only a couple inches shorter than me, and I'm 13.
So, yeah, he's catching right up to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's come here since he was just a baby.
I remember. Oh, yeah. And you started volunteering here at the library.
I did it. I did it the summer between 6th and 7th grade for the first time, and I did it this last summer too. Ever since I was in 1st grade, I actually saw this young lady who was there who I was like, and then even then I wanted to volunteer here when I was older, so I was waiting for when I got to go to middle school.
So what are the kinds of things that Miss Terry has you come in and you help out with what?
I help out with events and story times, and story times are great. I think it's great for the little kids. Me and my brother have both cycled through that.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I do the hokey pokey with the little kids, and I think it helps. I will go back and forth between sitting up with Miss Terry and Miss Marina, and sometimes I'll sit on the carpet with the little kids, and some of them will come in, running in and out they'll sit on my lap, they'll listen to the story that way.
Yeah.
And I think it's just really fun. I pass out the scarves, and when we do events, I help pass stuff out and walk around helping kids, and some events I do myself.
That is so awesome, and we really appreciate your help. And I'll tell you something, when little kids come and they see a bigger little kid, there's really something that is kind of magical.
I love little kids. They're great. I haven't done that many babysitting jobs, so I'm trying to start it. I'm certified by Safe Sitter over this summer, and it's really fun. I think little kids are great. My favorite has to be probably around 3 and 4, because they're in the age of being able to communicate their needs, which is definitely nice to have. And they're just little balls of happiness and energy.
I love that. I love that. So can we talk about books a little bit?
Yes.
Okay. So do you have a favorite?
So one of my favorites has to be Harry Potter.
Okay.
I read that first, I think I was in 2nd grade. I remember I read it so quick within the span of 1 or 2 months. I remember finishing it in February. And I still have that laid out on my shelf, all 7 books. And I have this one corner of my room, which since like 3rd grade has been dedicated to Harry Potter. My parents got me an antique trunk for Christmas one year because they knew I loved it, and I have all sorts of Harry Potter merchandise. The owl in the little cage and
fun. Oh my gosh. Have you ever played the board game?
So I'm not sure. There's been a lot. I've played Harry Potter trivia.
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm talking about.
I beat everyone in my house. It's great.
I bet.
Sometimes I have friends come over who challenge me a little bit though.
Yeah, and you have to, I think sometimes you have to remember the sequence of things too, because as you read book 4, book 5, things start getting, Out
of all books though, I definitely think Harry Potter's split up pretty good with the 7 years of Hogwarts being 7 books. Instead of some books where it's like in a span of a few months. Like currently I'm reading a dystopian book called Reached. It's the 3rd in the trilogy. And it leaves off at such cliffhangers, and so it would be harder to see the timeline.
Right.
Whereas Harry Potter, it makes it very easy.
Yeah. Have you written a book?
Not full books, but I've definitely written a bunch of short stories.
Is that something that you'd like to do going forward?
Yeah, I think so. I have been working on one recently because every LA class, we have 10 minutes in the beginning of class, and he gives us 2 writing prompts and the 3rd option of free write. And I've started one, and it's kind of the idea I got from the Land of Stories prequel, Tale of Magic. I loved that book, and I kind of made it pseudo-theme. It's 2 girls named one Emma and one Vanessa, I think.
Okay. Sounds like you're well on your way. That's great.
One thing I also really like is poetry. I have a notebook with some of that.
We do a couple of poetry readings here, so we'll have to make sure you know about them next time. We usually do one in April, every April. And so we'll have to make sure you know about those. That's not easy to write poetry. Do you find it easy?
Sometimes if I come up with a good idea. Since I was little, I loved the idea of writing songs. I'm in chorus and choir at my school, but I think I can be better at writing them then. So I have a couple. I have this just composition notebook with some poems and some songs that I've made.
That's wonderful. Where do you get your ideas?
A lot of them are really random. I just come up with I start humming to myself with and I build it off one lyric that I come up with.
Okay, wow. I wish I had thought to ask you to bring something to share with us. Do you know anything off the top of your head?
So I have this one, and it's I made it in the beginning of 6th grade actually. It started off as a school assignment, and it's where are you from? But it's from what identifies you as a person, not just from your hometown. It's so I started off with a pretty, I'm from Ireland, from where my great-grandparents came. It's something, I'm from Puggles, Yorkies, and Chihuahuas. I'm from unique dog breeds, Puggles, Yorkies, and Chihuahuas particularly, because those are the dogs I've had. And then I'm from Lavender, wasting from my room. My mom says it's too much, but I continue. I'm from late nights, reading under the cover. I forget the other second. I forget the stanza after that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you're not at school and when you're not writing poetry and you're not volunteering at the library. What do you like to do?
I do a lot of reading.
Yes.
I draw quite a bit. A lot of homework.
Yes, yeah, I bet. 8th grade, there's a lot of homework.
Yes, there is.
Where's your favorite place to read?
My favorite place to read, I'll read just about anywhere. In summer, I really like reading outside in the hammock or on my porch.
Yeah.
I like reading with my dog with me. And one of my favorite times to read is the evening before I go to bed. And
how do you stay awake? Because I'd like to know. I fall asleep after 2 pages.
So I can depends on the day. Sometimes I fall asleep after 2 pages too. Or then there's some nights where I'll stay up for like a couple hours just because it's just really good. And I remember I started staying up to read books in the summer when I was real little, for 2nd grade.
Yeah.
I had this book series, which I actually think is upstairs, called Ivy and Bean.
Yes.
And I would keep it right on my nightstand, and it was still summer, and I wouldn't close my curtains, so I could.
So speaking of nightstands, we are starting a new program in November called On the Nightstand.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a Saturday morning coffee or hot chocolate and donuts.
Coffee's good.
Mike Kelly, donuts. Our producer loves donuts. And so what we're going to do is kind of sit in this room, maybe by the fire, and we're going to have people talk to us about a book that's on their nightstand.
I actually brought one with me today that's on my nightstand currently.
Well, can you show it to us?
So it doesn't have the pretty cover on right now, because that's one thing about reading in the evenings, because I don't want it to get messed up with the blankets.
Yeah.
It's called Myths and Legends.
Yeah.
It is by...
and it's all across the world, right?
Yeah,
of different things?
it is. It's by... it doesn't...
It's a whole bunch of people.
Yeah. Forward by William J. Doty, general editor Jake Jackson.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's really good. There's the first page.
Oh, lovely.
The cover is a big version of that. It's Medusa.
Okay.
It has...
my hair looks like that when I get up in the morning.
Oftentimes, I love mythology, particularly Greek mythology. I think it's very interesting. But oftentimes, too, when you think of mythology, you think of Greek and Roman mythology. Whereas this one has so much more from around the world.
Like Norse?
Yeah. It has myths from different African tribes.
Yeah.
Celtic from Ireland, Chinese, classical Greek mythology, of course.
Yeah.
Indian, Native American, Norse. And I actually just finished another book a couple days ago. That's why I'm still in the beginning process of this one.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Is because it was a big one about Norse mythology. And it was really interesting to see the portrayal of the gods and heroes of different timelines.
Yeah, oh, that's great. Well, maybe we can get you to join us for one of those sessions, because we're going to try to do it once a month.
I'd love to.
And because a lot of times people they like book groups, but sometimes people don't like to read the same book that everyone else is reading. So I thought, we all have books on our nightstand, or we should all have books on our nightstand. So I kind of assume people do, but that's not always the case.
I see some stuff like that sometimes. Like, I'm talking to my friends, and they're like, oh, I started the book at the beginning of this year, and I'm 20 pages in. And I'm like, I finished about 20 since then. I remember last year we had, in 7th grade, my teacher was Miss Sylvanas. She's very, very nice. I loved her. She had a unit called Inspirational Stories, and it was kind of like a book club, but there was like a dozen different books you could pick from, and not everyone had to choose the same one.
Okay.
And I started out with this one called How Dare the Sunrise, and it's all stories of inspiration about people who've come up from unfortunate circumstances.
Okay. Yeah.
And she was living in Congo and talked about coming to the U.S. after tribal warfare.
Oh my goodness.
It was very sad, but it was really good. And one kid on the bus, a friend of mine, said that he bet he read more than I did. And we had about a month to finish this one book. Every single day I finished a book, and just told my teacher in front of him. I finished all of those.
Wow.
And that's my version of a power move, which is kind of funny. And every day people would be like, again, Caroline. And I thought that was really funny. Because I have an hour-long bus ride. I'm the first one on, last one off. So I'll do reading in that time.
Oh my gosh, and you can concentrate with stuff going, yeah. Sometimes I find the more noise, the better, because then I can really tune it out, so. Does your brother like to read?
He does, but he's a bit of a picky reader. He only likes to read nonfiction to himself, but my dad reads to him in the evenings, and he's actually going through Lord of the Rings right now.
Wow.
He's almost finished with the first book with my dad.
Oh, that's
But
great.
by himself, he's gone through all of the who was and who is that this library, his teacher's library, and his school's library have had. He's gone through just all of them.
Do you ever read to George?
Sometimes. It's definitely decreased as he's gotten older, as we've both gotten older.
Yeah.
But I remember we both have the same copy of, we both have Wonder, because I had it.
Isn't that a great book?
Yeah, it is really incredible.
Yeah.
The movie is good, but it doesn't do it justice.
I totally agree.
I think that with most books, whereas in the movie it's only from August's perspective, whereas the book it has just about all the characters, even Via's boyfriend and stuff. It's really interesting to see all the different characters' perspectives. I actually read a book in book club here once when I was in like 3rd grade. That was one of my favorites. It was a pen pal book called Same Sun Here. And that was really cool. I think I've read it a couple times at a couple different book clubs.
Yep.
But it was really interesting, kids from across the world, from each other.
Yeah.
I think it was actually the U.S.
That's a good one to talk about.
Yeah,
right?
that
When
was
you're with
really
the group.
good, because it was all the deforestation. When it comes to books, I have a pretty good memory on characters and what happened.
I hope that keeps up for you, because I'll tell you, when you get to be my age, you forget. I took a book out from the library and I read a few pages and then I think, geez, this sounds familiar. Anyway, you won't go there.
My mom always wondered how I did it especially when I was younger. I'd have like 5 books going at the same time. And my mom always told me to try and stick to one. And I think that's really funny.
Sometimes it's mood though, right?
Yeah, it is. Like, one thing I'll definitely have is, I said I had reached the dystopian fantasy, and it's nonfiction, because it was like, but I'll have a history book and I'll have a fantasy.
Yeah. As long as you don't mix them all.
I remember sometimes I'd have a couple fiction ones that, like a bunch of realistic fiction, and I'd be like, oh, what happened here?
So what are you going to do when you grow up?
So I
Do
actually,
you have an idea?
ever since I was little, I wanted to be a doctor. I have, in the past few years, narrowed it down to like 5 different types of doctors I want to be.
Okay.
I would like to be a podiatrist, because the foot actually, so we have 200-something bones in our body, and a quarter of all of those bones are located in the feet. So the bone structure is really interesting for that.
Yeah.
I'd like to be a EMT, the ears, mouth, and nose, and throat.
Yeah.
And a family medicine doctor, because I feel like with that you get to do a bit of everything, and you get to work with little kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I definitely would like to work with little kids. Or like the doctor who did my elbow. He was a orthopedic.
Yeah. Surgeon.
Pediatric. No, pediatric.
Yeah.
Orthopedic surgeon.
That's right.
Trauma.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
If I'm going to do surgery, I'd like to do a trauma surgery, because, so I think that it's a bit more interesting, because there's more randomness of it, because like my grandfather, he had to get a hip ball and socket replacement, and like he sent me the x-rays because he knew I liked that stuff. So he sent me, I think I have them in my closet somewhere. And because I've wanted to be a doctor since I was really little.
Wow.
And especially after breaking my arm, that really, and being in a hospital setting was really interesting to me.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is, Caroline, we know it's going to be amazing, because you are amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for what you do for us here at the library, and thank you for promoting reading. You're an ambassador for that. And we've loved having you on our show. And we wish you great luck for the rest of the school year.
Thank you.
And yeah, so happy holidays to you.
Thank you. You too. I'm sure I'll pop in a few more times throughout the school
I
year.
hope you do. And just, you know what, pop by my office and say, hey, guess what I'm reading?
Okay, I will.
All right, good. And maybe you can join us for one of those on the nightstand.
That sounds really fun.
Okay, good, good. So thank you all for being with us tonight, and we hope you have enjoyed hearing about Caroline and her adventures. And hopefully we'll see you back here next time on What's Your Story?